This is the fourth and final video in our four-part video series on designing and producing asynchronous online instruction. If you haven't viewed the first three videos yet, please go do that now and then return to this video where we will discuss interactivity in online environments and accessibility. Even when a lesson is asynchronous, students need opportunities to engage with other people. Best practices recommend that online instruction enables students to interact with each other and the instructor, though those interactions don't have to take place at the same time. As a student, you might have already experienced how a classmate explains a concept in a way that you could understand better than when the teacher explained it. Students very often learn from each other as well as the teacher, and that's one reason interactivity is important. Also, the interactivity in an online course helps the experience seem like an actual class instead of just a bunch of information posted online. After the pandemic forced everyone away from campus, many students noticed how isolated they felt in having to take their courses electronically. Incorporating interactivity will mitigate that feeling of isolation. Consider these ideas. Include discussions as regular components of an online instruction. Discussions can take place via web conferencing software such as Zoom, Skype, or Google Meet, or they can take place via digital discussion boards. Other tools like Flipgrid enable you to use video-based discussions. Discussion boards have settings that enable you to break students into small groups also, and that makes the discussions more intimate and engaging. A discussion board dedicated to asking and answering questions enables students to raise a concern that everyone else can read. These discussion boards can be labeled Q&A or Muddiest Point. They serve as safe places where students can ask for help if they don't understand something. It makes sense to alternate between synchronous and asynchronous activities, and when you do that, a synchronous discussion can take place in real time using Zoom, Skype, or Google Meet, and students can see and hear each other, which enhances that interactive component. You can also use virtual galleries in which students can submit their work. For instance, you might have students create diagrams or charts to illustrate concepts, and when they submit those diagrams in digital format, you can embed them all into one digital file to create a gallery of them. This is an example of a gallery of students' work when they did thank you note assignments for an English methods class. In writing, literature, history, government, even some science classes, students might write drafts of reports or essays and then conduct peer reviews using tools such as Google Docs or Google Slides. Those apps have comment tools that foster interactivity in the context of helping learners complete assignments. This interactivity can be in the way of student-to-student work. These kinds of opportunities also enable students to interact with teachers. Not only do online courses need to be interactive, they should also be accessible. Entire courses have been taught on the concept of accessibility. Time doesn't permit us to explore all of those elements here, but it is important to note that an online course, synchronous or asynchronous, should be accessible to all learners. For that reason, using some simple measures can make sure that all students have access to the materials, interactions, and assessments that they need for success. Here are some tips. Use sans serif fonts for written information. A serif is that little curl at the end of a line on a letter, as in this example here. Serifs are attractive, and when used in print format, serifs can help guide the eye smoothly from one letter to the next. But screen readers have difficulty reading fonts with serif, so in an online environment, it's best to avoid them. To make sure students with visual difficulties have access to text through screen readers, type with sans serif fonts such as Arial, Calibri, Verdana, or Tahoma. Avoid text and diagrams created in green and red. Colorblind students have difficulty seeing those colors, so it's best to stay away from them. Provide specific captions of all images if they are not decorative, so students with visual disabilities will know what the image is, especially if it's important to the concept being taught. And provide captions of all videos. Most YouTube videos now have closed captioning, but check to make sure when you're searching through their video library. If you create your own videos, include captions or transcripts. Again, YouTube has pretty easy tools for including closed captioning. In an earlier module about differentiation, we learned about universal design for learning. Those concepts are applicable to online learning environments as well as face-to-face learning. This was a very quick set of guidelines for designing asynchronous online instruction. COVID-19 has changed education forever. Although before the pandemic, many teachers could choose to teach face-to-face or online, now all of us need to know the best practices for teaching regardless of modality. You'll continue to learn about enhancing your skills for teaching in virtual environments, but this lesson can serve as a starting place for future instructional development.